Okay, in this video, we're going to have a look at the split panes feature. So split panes basically allows you to view different parts of your spreadsheet in the same on the same screen, but in different panes. Let's look at an example. Let's assume that I was viewing these employees at the top, right? But while having these few at the top in view, I also wanted to view those at the bottom. So I wanted to have a look at some of these, but I wanted the others on top in view as well. Now you can't really do it because when I scroll to the bottom, obviously these ones on top are no longer in view. So split panes allows us to view two different parts of the spreadsheet at the same time. So what I'll do is, let's assume I click on this cell here. So in column A, let's choose row 12. I go to the view tab in the ribbon and I click on the split panes, which is here under the split. So it divides the window into separate panes that scroll separately. So if I click on split, you'll see a little gray line appeared over there. And that basically indicates that this top part above the gray line is effectively independent from this one. So let's have a look. You see, as I'm scrolling down in this bottom one over here, it's actually not, it's separate from this one because they're actually looking at different parts of the spreadsheet. You can see here in this pane, I'm looking at rows 36 to 46, whereas on the top one, I'm looking at rows 1 to 11. So if I click on the top one here and I scroll down, it's an independent scroll. Once they reach the same area, you can see this one's actually moving independently. So on the top one, I've gone right past row 46. It's totally separate, whereas this one here is also totally separate. So I can also obviously cover the same area. So on this one, if I scroll right to the top, I see from row 1. So it's effectively as if I've opened the spreadsheet twice, but it is exactly the same sheet. So any change I make here will go into both. Like if I typed in, ZZZZ, you can see it's actually changed there in that pane and in that pane. So it's just two different views of the spreadsheet, so you can actually look at different parts of the same spreadsheet on one screen. Now I'm just going to undo that with Control Z, that change that I made. Now you can see the pane, obviously, as you can see, is in this little gray area. So depending which part you've selected, if I click a cell in here and I start scrolling, it'll only scroll on that pane. If I click a cell in here, then I'm only scrolling in this pane. And you can see where the pane is by this double, the slight gray line. If I hover over it, it turns into like a double arrow with a double line. And I can click and drag that if I want to move the pane. Let's say I wanted to move the pane there. Now I've made the bottom pane much bigger. You can see it takes much more rows here, and the top pane is now much more smaller. Of course, I can go back over it, click and drag, and make it more equals to by doing it that way. Or in order to remove it, if I just hover over it and I double click, if I double click on this line, it removes the pane, and now it's all in a single pane as is the normal situation. Now, when I did that split pane, I did it in column A, so we only split the screen into two sections, but I could also choose, let's say, a cell over here. And if I go now into the view option and I click on the split option over there, you'll see that I've basically got 4 different panes. And so that enables me, for example, let's say in this particular one over here, I wanted to keep these 3 columns available, but then here on this side, I can then actually scroll and I can actually see the other columns. So I can always keep these 3 columns available while seeing more columns on this side. And it's the same, you can see it's the same rows that are basically in each. And the same could obviously also apply the other way around. So for example, if I'm actually scrolling on the rows here, I can look at different rows as I did in the previous video. So, the rows on the top can be different from the rows at the bottom, but by splitting it this way as well, I can always keep certain columns in view, even as I scroll to the right. You can see those columns will always be in view for the selected rows. So remember, we said we could double click on any of these panes. You can actually move them as well, the horizontal one as well as the vertical. So you can see here, I'm clicking and dragging the horizontal, and I'm clicking and dragging the vertical. Okay, then finally, to remove the panes, instead of double clicking them, I could simply go to the view option, view tab in the ribbon, and you can see here that it says split is actually selected, it's indented. If I just click on it again, it basically removes the split and everything is back to normal.